What is going on? All right, before I go any further, can you see me and can you hear me? Because we had all sorts of problems on my early live stream and I had to stop it after like 20 minutes because my audio, everything just cratered. Hey, Irishman, what's going on? Let's see who is in the chat today. Marco, round two, fight. That's like Double Dragon, man. Joe, Scott, hello, hello, Marco. And oh, that's mean. I'm gonna shout myself out like a dingbat. There we go. Hey, Militant. What's going on? Hello, hello. All right, good. 5 by 5. Woo. Success. Hey, my mother Spark. Hello, lady. Hey, Willow Way Ranch. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I had to play with this one a bit. So, for those of you wondering where the bougie headset came from, it was actually a gift from one of my sons, my youngest son, and so he and I could game. He could play on the PS4 with me and talk smack. And I put it away and I lost it at one point. And when we were having the floors done, I pulled a bunch of crap out. And we were just throwing, when you do a project in the house, you start digging stuff up to move things around and you're like, why the hell do I have this? And it was one of those, I pulled the box out and go, I forgot I had this. So, ta-da. So this is probably a year old and it's been sitting in a what do you call, in a box somewhere collecting dust. So Irishman, hello. Um, yeah, we're all back, and again, that totally screwed up my conversation earlier when like my own audio wouldn't come back. Sober, one glass, combating sober, one glass at a time. Yeah, no, I hear you. So, yeah, we got the fancy headsets going. They have the little fluffy pads there, so I can look all bougie. I smell like corn syrup after an epic boozing. No, I can't smell anything. Like I just when I have one of those, I just hurt. Everything just sucks. Speaking of somebody who might smell like corn syrup, I don't know, but this um, let me see if it'll come up here. Hang on just a second. Yeah, this cuchifrito. Um, so his recent appearance at a Senate hearing caught attention of admirers and detractors alike. Some observers applauding the Democrat for his line of questioning, and others speculating if he's fit to serve. Um, he was quoting former SVB CEO Greg Becker, and he had recently from a leave medic as he asked Becker it should be requirement bank executive whose institutions have been bailed out. Let me see if I can play that for you because that'd be interesting to listen to. God, he looks uglier when you blow it up. That pendejo is he has a stroke in action. Let me know if you can hear the audio on this video. Let me see if it works.
So my colleague heard that they went to go to Hawaii. So I it, and it did happen. It did happen. The States Bank history collapsed and chose to go Hawaii on another side, or should be correct. So this is on the last. I don't have much.
All right, I guess it won't let me won't let me share that. But anyway, he was saying I've never been to Hawaii, so maybe I need to crash a bank. Can you guys hear me all right? Hey, the dude, what's going on? Let me see. Let me double check my audio here. Hello? Okay, I'm still showing I got audio. Can you guys hear me again? It may not want to let me share a screen, so completely. Anyway, let's see. I'm having a because I have really good internet on at the house, so I think it maybe put the mic in your mouth. I'm breaking up a bit now. Don't be like Drunk Joe on Discord. Nice. Just buffering some. Okay. And I am kind of live streaming through a work computer, so I'm sure they're gonna. IT guys are like, stop it, just because it's after hours. But I'm not doing anything nefarious, so I don't know if they care. Uh, in any case, yeah, I'm breaking and freezing. Doggone. I'm using a completely different computer this time. Hey, Prepper Book Club. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Barb. Book Club. Joe. Be like Drunk Joe on Discord. That's awesome. Um, but anyway, I was on VC twice, one time. So to my conversation earlier, which I was kind of on a run with these kids that have been disappearing. There has been a slew of Amber Alerts for young females between 11 and 17. Now, there are a few boys thrown in there, but it's mainly girls. And I mean, there was a pile for between like February and beginning of May. So like March and April mainly. It was absolutely crazy. We were seeing one every other day. And some are going to be runaways. I get that. Some are going to be kids who were partying and like disappeared at their friend's barn party for an entire 4 days because they got really drunk or stoned or whatever. But there were a lot that were just disappearing. They were just, yeah, Scott, exactly. Almost daily Amber Alerts. Uh, well, you know what they do in I think it's Indonesia or Malaysia is well they would execute you if you're found of rape, guilty of rape, but if you attempt to, they get this literally a 10, 12 foot bamboo stick, like a bamboo cane. It's pretty much the whole damn bamboo tree. They just take all the leaves off and they put tape on one end, and that's where the guy holds it, and they smack you, and you get like 10 smacks. And basically, from what I've been told, the 10 smacks will put you in the hospital for 2 weeks. Like, that'll change your life epically because you'll never forget that. Um, Sister Marie, you might be absolutely right. They may be trying to hush people from being obnoxious or not obeying the rules or whatever it is we've done. Still showed up hungover, though I needed a sandwich. Hey, Sherry Leach, what's going on? And hey, Shorty snuck in there. She's like ninja skills. And hello again, Tracy. I want to be sure I didn't miss anyone. I did say hi to Prepper Book Club. Hello, Barb. And 3 by 3. That was from before, so I got sound now. Okay, great. Um, yeah, folks, it's really been concerning, and it's just I live in a subdivision, so our city, we actually got to listen to the mayor at a charity dinner. She talked about the town or about the city, and the median age here is like 34, or the average age is 34, and so I'm significantly older than a lot of these folks, and so a lot of the families in my subdivision have little kids. They're in that late 20s, early 30s, where they have smaller children. And God, I'll go out for walks, or I'm driving around the neighborhood, and I'll see kids walking, and I see a vehicle acting weird. I actually pull over to watch the vehicle, not to freak the kids out, but I'm like, what's this guy doing? Um, yeah, show trust like these. Dude, you don't even need a firearm. Just take a wiffle bat and fill it with newspaper, and just give them a good thumping, man. 10 smacks, 2 weeks in the hospital. In Malaysia, and it's not good. Although, yeah, no one should be touched without consent, no matter. No, absolutely agree. And contrary to what certain people say, I do believe there is an age of rational consent where anyone under certain age is not eligible. Soap in a sock. Yeah, I'll tell you what, my mother Spark can come up with some evil stuff left to her own devices. Like I've watched her in the chat and she's like, "Oh yeah, if you set his foot on fire, he'll stop." And I'm like, Where'd that come from?" So, but I guess all of us, when it comes to kids, will get pissed off about it. Hey, Dragon Slayer, what's going on? So apparently now we're talking about how to beat criminals when you're caught in the act without using a pew. But yeah, I believe it. Golf balls in a sock too. Get 3 or 4 of them. That's terrible. All right, I finished my drink. Awesome. Uh, but yeah, there's just been a lot of this kids disappearing, and I think the newest one there was uh, a college co-ed freshman in Lubbock, and then a couple out in West Texas. Uh, girls 18, 19, 20 disappearing from their apartments. Like they literally, their friends had been there, the friends left, and then the girl disappeared. And you don't know what happened, right? Um, they could very well have lead poisoning, in my opinion. I don't disagree with you. 24 inches of rebar, there's a good one. I could see that, definitely. You would fit in with all the cousins in my family for sure. Yeah, rebar works. Grab onto the other. But yeah, you're seeing more and more of it. And I think this goes into the whole package of people don't fear the law anymore. They feel like they can do whatever. And that concerns the crap out of me, y'all. That really bothers me because that's like the first step to the collapse of a civilization is to watch the common folk, the public, be afraid to conduct their day-to-day business for fear that someone or something is going to harm them. And I think that's I think that's the first sign that something's gone very wrong. Yeah, and Prepper Book Club brings up a good point, right? So you have the law doesn't care either. Um, Law enforcement knows, well, if I arrest this guy, they're just going to let him out. And it becomes a frustration for the cops, right? So they're like, well, if I don't catch someone actively murdering someone, I'm just going to ignore it. And they're not going to mess with it because they just don't have they've made the thank you, Scott. Hola, Devil Dog, how you been? Hey TNT, what's going on? You have you have law enforcement, they're just frustrated. And if they say like, oh well, bad cop, yeah, truthfully, most of the cops I know are just trying to do a job. You get bad everything. You get bad bus drivers, you get bad truckers. I mean, um, but point being, the cops don't have the bandwidth. They're not enough of them. They're underpaid, and in certain places, they arrest people. And hey, Tiki, and nothing happens. Uh, they just see that's what we're both mean. Nice. Tag each other. Come on with defibrillator. Oh, that's so bad, dude. That's although one of my sergeants flashbanged a bear that kept going into the trash bins at Fort Drum in upstate New York. He he had enough of it, and because then the guys wound up cleaning, so he waited in the tree in a poncho all night in the snow, and the bear came and started digging up the trash, and he went blink and and he said it was the best thing he ever saw because he closed his eyes so he could keep his night vision right, and he banged the bear and the bear took off, and he opened his eyes and he said the bear was completely discombobulated and it was running sideways, and then it tripped on its own 2 feet because the front legs are shorter than the rear legs, and it went head over heels tumbling down a hill into a little gully and just completely wiped out in the gully. He said it looked like a big bowling ball And the whole time it went down, it went oh, making these sounds into the water. And then I guess the water, when it hit the cold water, it revived it, and that thing took off. And he said we didn't see another bear. Um, he thought there might have been a raccoon in there, and that may have been a casualty. The flashbang may have been proximity to the raccoon, um, or the bear trampled the raccoon attempting to escape. But yeah, the raccoon was a fatality, unintentionally. He didn't realize there was a raccoon there with the bear. Like, who'd have thought that, right? But yeah, that story became legend in that unit. What was the sound again? Apparently, is what he said. He couldn't describe it. Every time he tried to make the sound, he'd crack up, and then we didn't get the good sound. So I guess how would you compare it to a whale's call combined with when you take a balloon and go wee as the air comes out and you pull the nozzle apart, so it makes that whistling farting sound, something along those lines as the bear went down the hill. So don't hate. That's the sound they make. So hey, Doomsday Podcast, what's going on? Um, and Joe's dying now. Oh Lord, don't spill your alcohol, Joe. Then that's alcohol abuse. Um, but yeah, folks, there's so much weirdness. So I did get an update from my coworker, who, for those of you who didn't hear the story, his wife, broad daylight, leaving a lunch, gets basically cold cocked by a guy who turns out he's got mental problems, and he keeps recycling in the system. And she's not a big gal, and because I met her, and the guy was a big dude, and he just randomly backhands her in the street as he's walking by. Just um, it took him 8 months to get a trial date. The defense attorney is claiming, oh, well, he has problems, and he's a victim of the system, blah blah blah, trying to do defense attorney stuff. And apparently, during the hearing, the prosecutor says, Your Honor, since he struck Mrs. So and so, he's assaulted 5 other women. He's targeting females and walking up to them and just either smacking them, backhanding them, or straight up punching them. And then he runs away. And so he finally, after all the hearings and they went over all the cases, he got like 2 years in a psych ward. Basically, they're gonna like medicate his ass for 2 years, which is good. Get him out of circulation for a while. Yeah. Well, what's funny is he smacks my buddy's wife, who he's my friend told me, had he caught her square, because he kind of was, they were walking up to a to the corner to stop for traffic. He walks up next to her and then backhands her, just whack. And he said he lost his balance. The guy did. He said had he hit her square, he probably would have shattered her jaw, but because he kind of fell over, he tripped on somebody, he actually hit her across the chest, and then the hand went up and hit her in the face. But she's small, so it flipped her over, and she hit her head on the concrete. So my friend, grabbed the guy. And now they're fighting on the floor, and he said people were with their phones like this, going, "You need to stop fighting him. You're hurting him." And I said, "Nobody helped you?" He's like, "No, not a single person helped me." This was up in Denver. He said, "Nobody helped me at all." And I can't compute that. And then when the cops showed up, everyone walked away. But he said literally they were holding phones, like, to where he couldn't see the guy he was fighting because there were phones in his face. And it's like, help. What is wrong with you? People always taking pictures, you know. I mean, there's a good occasion when you should take a picture, right? If you're going to be in imminent danger, like there's some kind of accident going on, or someone did something too far for you to interfere with, you can help the police take a picture of the car, the person, the license plate, whatever. But it's happening right in front of you. At least help the wife off the floor, right? Even if you're not physically capable or able to fight, um, at least, get her head off the concrete and go, put a jacket there under her head. The waitresses came out of the restaurant to put ice and try to help. And finally, it was an old man from Tennessee or Kentucky, some old farmer. They're still fighting on the ground. And he said this old farmer was like a tank. He was one of those old guys who had hands like bear claws. He said, "Let me grab his legs," and he just grabbed them and yanks the guy and almost took his pants off. And the guy went flat because he got dragged. And then the two of them jumped on him and they were able to pin him. And right about that point, the cops rolled up and everyone just walked away. And the cops had nobody to get a statement from but the waitresses who saw it. Everyone else just nobody cares. It's like I can't even describe that phenomenon. Hey, Tennessee Tactical, how are you? No, they never are. Prison even Joe is not a place I'm in. No, he needs my dad made Golden Glows 60 when you trump me, you're gonna lose teeth. No, and that's true. That was in the incident was in Denver, Colorado. And he said it's funny because he has a friend who's a local who grew up in Denver, and he said if this had happened in Grand Junction, if it had happened in Brighton, anywhere else in Colorado, that guy would have received the worst pummeling from everybody in the area. But he said Denver is like San Francisco. Hey, KC. Hey, no, I said there's who else is here? Somebody just snuck in on me. New York City, ex New York City prepper. Um, hey, Moonsprout. Uh, so anyway, that guy's going away to a mental health facility for an extended period, which is good. It's good for the public. It's good for my friend and his wife because now they know at least some justice has been done. And it's probably good for the guy who committed the crime because maybe he'll get some kind of treatment there. Uh, but if nothing else, he's out of circulation for a while. So that's good. But yeah, it's the weird that's going on, the behavior in the streets, and again, I have the domino effect videos coming out, and it's going to be about five all in as I film them. There's another one coming up tomorrow afternoon. One of the signs is when you see these people just get away with stuff that not even 5 years ago was unheard of. It was unheard of. Yeah. Well, exactly. And there was somebody jogging. Two kids were jogging, and one of them just tripped on his own 2 feet. He almost wiped out into my rose bushes. That would have been interesting. Uh, but yeah, it's yeah, Denver. It was Denver's Denver's a pretty town, but it's not. Downtown Denver is full of homeless and weirdness. Austin's become the same way. Um, yeah, I just like Austin used to be kind of like a little bit Mardi Gras, a little bit rodeo, all kind of mixed together. You have these two streets, I think they're 6th and 7th, and both have bars, and one's kind of like the gay side, and one's just like the general public. But people went back and forth. Nobody fought. Nobody was ugly. There were bands and street performers, and it was just people just went and had a pleasant time. And now you can't. Nobody's having a pleasant time because the crazy people come out and mug you in the parking lot. So no, Jonathan, absolutely not. Uh, yeah, and see, and you're absolutely right. The criminals get away. I think so. And Scott, I think there's a psychological factor to it. Um, yeah, Houston is horrible. Houston's gotten bad. Uh, has a whole lot of. I had a guy walk. I honked. He spit on my car. Fun times. Yeah. So there was a guy was running in the street, blocking cars just as the light turned green, right? And then and he was kicking cars and spitting. This was in Houston, and this big Spanish boy came out. When I say big, he must have been about 300 pounds, 6'3", just this big square. And he walks out and comes up behind the guy, and he's like, I don't know, the guy's like showing his butt and kicking, and he comes over, open hand, wah. like a bear, hits him in the back of the neck. The guy just drops. He picks him up by the scruff of his neck, like the way you'd pick up a cat, like a kitten, by the back of their neck. And the whole way he's just tu madre, blah, and he's just English and Spanish. He just cursed him and shook the crap out of him. Man, the guy must have been a scrambled egg between his ears because that guy just, and then he just ejected him into the side of the street. And then he just like fixed his shirt and he went back in his truck and he drove off. And everyone, I mean, everyone was cracking up because that was kind of funny. He didn't beat him, he didn't shoot him. He just redirected him after rattling him like a maraca. It was awesome. Charles Bronson, yeah. No kidding. Well, I grew up there too, man. So, yeah, I've been gone for 30 years. Quite happy with my decision. Oh yeah, God. People were clapping in their cars. They were like, ah, and Stupid was like he was just sitting there in the grass. Like he looked so sad. Like he literally had no idea what happened, but whatever happened had apparently changed his perception. He was rethinking his life choices at that moment because this really big guy basically mixed him like cake batter, just and be gone, and ejected him from the street. And people are just trying to go to work, and that weirdness is going on, and it's like, what the hell? Yeah, he did. His soul may have left him for a little bit, honestly. Uh, but folks, this is and Vision talked about it briefly on his. We've all been talking about it. I know Jason, the Angry Prepper, has been talking about it a lot. Uh, you're seeing a lot of people. They're getting bold, and to Scott's point earlier, the Rona was basically almost a 3-year event, if you think about it. What they did, they freaked everyone out and then locked everyone up. They basically put everyone in a state of trauma or in a state of belligerence, right? Because either you were traumatized by the incident and you were hiding in your house, afraid to go out, or you were pissed off at what they were doing because you thought it was bullshit and you became contrarian to what they were preaching. Either way, it separated people. And for 2+ years, you have a group of individuals, especially younger individuals, who would get on computer and just be horrendous to other people and they could get away with it, right? Because, well, I can say this, and that on the internet, and you can't touch me. Well, then those same people are now loose on the streets and they've basically learned. Think about it. You do the same thing over and over for 2, 3 years. You create a new habit, you create a new behavior. And so these people think this is an acceptable way to be. I will just curse and spit and yell and shout when I don't get my way. And then they go in public and someone punches them in the mouth and they freak out. Uh, but I became 70-year-old guy was hit in the neck with what? Oh yeah, he'd walk through the parks. We had a highway shooting here last. Good Lord. Yeah, and I'm assuming not just maintenance medications for blood pressure. It's like to be functional. And oh, he was shot. Good Lord. So yeah, there's yeah, it is worse now. Uh it's just sad. And it seems like we see it. And I have friends who I went to college. Well, they're not really friends, they're just people I touch base with time to time, and they're like, no, everything's fine with the border. There's nothing in the border. The streets are fine. Yeah, because you live in a gated community with private security. Um, but the rest of the world is dealing with this kerfuffle that was created because our leaders are idiots. Um, I would agree. I would agree. Downtown Cincinnati. Well, exactly, Irishman. There's no there's no consequence, right? So think about it. They in is it LA or San Francisco where you don't get charged unless you steal over $1,000 of goods. Well, if I own a boutique or I own a store of some type, I lose $1,000 of inventory. That could ruin my week. If it happens to me repeatedly over 6 months, I'm gonna have to shut the store. I'm losing my ass. You're losing your money. And I think, hey, Mary, what's going on? Yes, there was a convoy. It was actually, I heard it was an embassy convoy going to or from. But yeah, it's called Chicago. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, we have this mentality now, so there's no consequences. The mentally ill run the streets. Um, Look, I know people have disabilities, but I grew up with kids who are autistic, kids who would have at the time were called retarded, and they have different categories. They're mentally disabled in some way. They had Down syndrome, and one kid got handsy with a girl, and the girl's brother came and punched him in the face. I mean, he just beat him down, and he said, "You don't touch my sister like that." I promise you, I knew that kid for 10 more years. He never touched a girl like that. It doesn't matter. A correction occurs, and there's a shift. Hell, you could take a dog and the dog chews up your sheetrock and you put a slipper to the dog. And after one or two times, the dog realizes every time I do this action, that slipper comes out. I don't like the slipper. So I'm going to stop doing that and hopefully the slipper doesn't come out. Yeah. Getting bad here too. Florida isn't exactly what people here. Well, the same here. In Texas, they still arrest and prosecute, but yeah, it is lack of consequences. Hey, Virginia, what's going on? I lost track of the chat here. Uh, I was saying it will get worse before it gets better. Oh yeah, no, I'm back. Sorry, I had to step away for a minute. That's why I don't wear slippers. What's funny is people will still vote the way they vote. What's funny, they'll go to other states. They'll flee the state they're at to go to a state that has law enforcement, quality of life, business friendly, and then vote for the same type of idiot they voted for in the other state and then ruin that state. It's almost like the plan was to spread the stupid around the country. Seriously, there's so many people from LA in Texas right now, especially in Austin. The tech industry like moved, and some of them are just dumbasses. Like they're just like whatever, dude. Um, Although a lot of them I've ruined. Hey, Estatine, how you doing? Uh, yeah, they're still voting stupid. Um, but there are a lot of them that I'll be like, "You're in Texas now. Police response times are 10 to 15 minutes, so you need to defend yourself." And then you teach them something, and then they kind of. I've had a lot of them now get into firearms where now they're going to get their concealed carry license and they're going to shoot skeet, and I'm like, okay, there you go. Now you've learned something. Now you have taken your first step towards self-sufficiency and self-protection. But so we meet again, Parabellum. There you go. Hola. X gonna give it to you. I'm mentioning to you. But I got my crayons, nice. But yeah, folks, you're gonna see a lot of this. You're going to see a lot of folks misbehaving because they can. Not even because they want to or they're gonna get profit out of it. They wanna be mischievous or they wanna be abusive because they think they can get away with it. And over 3 years, we've taken not only an entire generation of teenagers and children and isolated them fearfully, but even young adults just got 3 years of being assholes. And, again, 3 years of picking up new habits, you create an entirely new behavioral pattern, right? If you're ugly on the internet every day for over 700 days, guess what? You're going to go out in public and you're going to act the same way because you don't understand consequences anymore. Uh, People don't like drag. I'm a wolf. Nice. Yeah, and it has been hard on the kids. I've actually had people tell me that they have like a pre-COVID kid, a COVID kid, and a post-COVID kid. And the kid who grew up during COVID is very shy. They're very defensive. They panic. Uh, it's I even in my dogs. I have the pre-COVID potato and the post-COVID potato, and then I have the COVID potato. And I couldn't get her out as much, and so she's the one. She's also bonded to me, so she follows me around. And like she tried to battle the vacuum cleaner earlier because she thought it was death, but um, yeah, like she's just now to where I can bring her out with the others, and the other two are like, "Hello, people. Hello, humans." And she's kinda she'll go and say hi, and then she'll kinda realize, I don't know you, and she'll kinda back off. She's still the shy dog. Uh, yes, and that's the other thing. What? I heard you heard it took 30 SP troopers to Nice. Um, no, uh, I do agree with you there too, because, you think about it, the kids were home, what were they doing, right? They're watching TV and consuming social media, and so you didn't have the excuse of all of you give me your phones, go outside and play basketball. They couldn't play basketball, right? Because they get run in. It depended where you lived. Texas is not seeing anywhere near the number of mental health issues with the kids because the kids could get out, right? You'd be like, go outside, go walk around the street, and the kids would go run around. They get the Rona, they get the Rona. But in places like LA, New York, I can't I can't compute living in a New York City apartment in like Alphabet City, for those of you who are familiar with New York City. Hey, hey, what's going on, heroic bro? How you been? So, man, it's interesting to see the difference. We homeschool though, so yeah, I would be nice. But yeah, kids have been hit hard because they lost out on a lot of education, developed poor habits. Um, and again, you do something for a few days, it's just a thing, but you do it for a year, 6 months, you've created a new habit. You do it for 3 years, and you have likely created let me put on my little light here. You have likely created a new behavioral pattern entirely. And now these kids are going out and they don't know how to act. And I'm wondering if this is contributing to all the mass shootings you're seeing, aside from the media hyping everyone up, which again goes to the media, people consuming media and freaking out. Uh, it just blows my mind. My daughter still had her cousins, so myself and lock up the grandkids. Thankfully, others here also. Even in schools, we're dumbing down our kids. They don't get homework. They don't have to memorize anything. It's sad. They don't understand that we're a republic and not a democracy. Like this blows my mind. They don't talk about the fact that communism killed 20 million Russians. God knows how many people the Chinese killed of their own people. Um, oh yeah, and if they didn't have reinforcement at the house of some type, or the parents weren't ready, a lot of parents just weren't ready to do school at home, and it's a bad deal. Covidians, nice. The bug tests as they locked everything. It could have been. It very well could have been, my friend. Um, COVID did change society. Mm, yeah, it sure did, and makes you wonder if that was part of the goal. Uh, there was a goal there to change the entire way people live their life, and especially to affect younger kids, because now you're seeing a lot of teenagers with suicide issues, drug abuse issues. And you always did, but I think it's worse now. And again, you combine it with lack of accountability and no responsibility. So, I mean, it's multifaceted. We could probably go on for hours kind of picking that apart. But what it does lead to for all of us is you need to understand what you're dealing with when you're out and about, especially when you travel like I do, right? Because I'll go from where I am now. I lived in Houston for years, right? So I know Houston, I know areas I should or shouldn't go into. But I go to Dallas. I've gone there enough to know my way around. I don't know the best places to go and not go. San Antonio, the same thing. Austin, the same thing. And again, I'm in Texas. If I have to go to Oklahoma City or I have to fly to Pittsburgh, I don't know those towns. So I don't know where I should or shouldn't go. So we need to be alert, and also look at your own neighborhoods. We have an influx of illegal immigrants as well as legal ones, right? And you have a large number of people who are behaving criminally more so now than before. Uh, you have a generator that young? Yeah, not for the next 10 years, but 30 years from now. I was there during the coronavirus, 6 p.m. Yeah, and the truth is, in Texas, people were still going out. Okay, night living people. Good night, buddy. Be good, Wolf. Uh, you too, my friend. Be careful out there. But folks, look, pay attention to where you're going. A lot of us have talked about the get home bags, the bug out bags, all that stuff. Be ready, especially when you travel like I do. You got to be ready for those contingencies. I like to keep a pair of hiking boots in my back seat of my truck on the floorboard, and I keep a hoodie or a windbreaker back there. And it's not so much for weather. Yeah, I can because I can change to the boots and the jacket if I get cold. But if I come out and I'm in business attire and there's an absolute shit show going on in the street in front of me, I can go and throw on uh, my jacket and kind of cover up and make myself look darker, kind of blend into the night. Uh, it, being ready for those kind of little contingencies, because I'm pretty sure you'll face regional things way more than a national thing all at once. Like 2020 was an anomaly as far as the riots everywhere. But you're more than likely to walk out and see a gang of teenagers attacking a CVS across the street, and you're happen to walk out into the middle of that. It's a riot, not a riot. You still need to be able to be mobile. You still need to be able to get to your truck or your car and get the hell out. So, yes, situational, very important. Um, and again, keep a change of clothes. Uh, like I said, when I travel at the next to my hotel bed or at the base of it, I'll have blue jeans, belts already through them, shoes with socks laid across them. If I need to get up and get out of my hotel room, I also keep a flashlight. So I'm not walking around in the dark in a hotel that's on fire, right? I can actually see where I'm going. And especially if you're in a strange place, right? I can walk around my house in the dark. Walking around in a hotel, how many of you, for instance, if you work in an office, have a flashlight near your desk at the office or on your person? I think about that. Imagine you're in a a multi-story building like in New York or Chicago and your lights go out and it's the winter, so it's dark. Now you're in the black, right? Where the hell do you go? You'll fall down the stairs and die right there. Having that flashlight, full of mags and bad ideas. There you go. When they locked down Manhattan during COVID, I moved to my. I'm still here. You're just like, I'm done. It's all, yeah, no kidding. That's the truth. It is. Right, and then we'll have to hike home. My bag needs to be lightened up. I've been finding 20 pounds for a get home bag is a really good weight. And what I did, I actually tested it and I walked around and I said, okay, what if I had to run? So I actually tightened it up and I ran. I ran a couple of blocks. And I mean, I was moving a couple of blocks. And I was like, yeah, if this was really heavy, I would have had a hell of a time. Either I would have gotten tired sooner or I would have lost a lot of speed. So you kind of, but everyone's different. You could run away screaming, right? You could freak out and just flap your hands like Kermit the Frog. Or, put alien things, or even better yet, dress like Antifa and run around with a flare in your hand and just scream nonsense. And if anything, you might rile everyone else up. They'll be like, yeah, and you're like, ah, and you just keep running through the crowd and run away. Give the flare to someone else and be gone. But we lost power. I had to get out. Right. And that's the thing. See, that scares me because there's a lot of run to it, run away screaming. Uh, you lose power in a hotel, especially imagine if you were sleeping and the alarm goes off in the hotel, but you open, fire alarm, and you open your eyes and the power's out, right? Because very often a fire and a power outage may go hand in hand. And now what? Right? Having that flashlight, it keeps it. I mean, even in my home desk, I keep a flashlight here because I could conceivably be working late at night and voomp, there goes, if I get a late night call from one of the project engineers and I get up and I'm like logged in and boom, and now I'm in the dark and I'm like, well, shit. Yeah, so I at least have that flashlight here. I can start walking around the house, check the breakers. I'm not tripping on dogs because I can see the dogs. So yeah, and Shorty, oh no. And normally I don't go on this late on a Tuesday. I'm usually earlier. I got kicked out of my own live earlier. That's weird that they see, and that's what happened to me. I lost my audio because I came on at like 3:30. I was going to do my usual 3:30 to 4:30 ish. 5 we do early. That sucks. Pink wig in your EDC bag, dressed like the Joker. Um, but Shorty, so if you go into a bus, and that's another thing Shorty brings up, you're in an airplane, right? You have to get through TSA. You have to get on a bus. You're going to have to go through a metal detector unless it's a private charter. So you can't bring a gun, can't bring a knife in most cases. So having the flashlight, I mean, this is a heavy little thing, but there's some that are tactical that you can somebody with. That's the official sound of hitting someone with a flashlight. Um, but there are also defensive keychains that don't look like a defensive keychain. Or kubotan is the Japanese word for it. It's basically like a little metal stick that you can say, "Oh, that's just my keychain," but you can whack the crap out of someone with it. Um, but also small first aid kit. I keep on my computer bag. I have a small first aid kit. Um, I keep an extra flashlight in my computer bag. I usually have a little one clipped into my jeans pocket. So, I have any given point in time, I have a couple of knives, couple of flashlights in my presence within a few feet of me that I can reach over and make access of. So, uh, it's important to have those options when you're traveling. But even at the office, when I was in an office for, extended periods and then I'd travel, but I'd be in the office during the day, I actually made a baby bug out for my office. It was a little It looked like a lunch bag, right? So if anyone ever looked in my drawer, it was a lunch bag. They're like, "What the hell is that?" They close it, and in it I had like a small pocket knife or a multi-tool. I had a like a Leatherman type tool, a flashlight, glow sticks, a poncho, a little first aid kit, one of those itty bitty ones with like extra Advils and Tylenols and a bandage in there. And it was just something I literally could open up and stuff everything in my pockets, grab my computer bag and out the door. I'd even leave the computer, but I could take the backpack with me because even an empty backpack with just a few basics, as I go from store to store, or, I'm walking home, I'm going to pass things. You could be walking and find a screwdriver. Well, I'm going to put the screwdriver in my bag. That might come in handy. You start harvesting things as you're walking home that you may find littered on the street. You might find a plastic bag, and I'm like, okay, that's rain protection. Put that in your bag. So, but yeah, I used to have a baby bug out basically to get me from my office to my truck, and then I had this get home bag in the truck. But fish is a fish and catch 30 walleye. Can you? I did not think you could, but if so, then that's a good thing. Yeah, no, not on a plane, definitely. Fists don't run out of ammo. They just made brass knuckles legal in Texas, Joe. You'd be quite jealous. Phil Sear like that. It's called Escape from New York City. That's going to be a good one. New York City next. If you when you're done with it, if you finish your series, tag me in it on a post so I can share it with everyone else. Uh, I've got a key on my key. That's a little knife. Gotta be trying to win a hockey fight. Joe, there better be a Snake Plissken reference in there somewhere. Oh God. Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, Big Trouble in Little China too. That's a fun one. Well, and think about it. Your EDC, like your pocket carry, is pretty much what you're gonna have to go get to your truck, hypothetically, right? And then your truck has stuff. But if you're in the office, you have a desk. Especially if you can lock it, you just right? And if people look in there, oh God, I don't have the little pouch. It looked like a little first aid pouch like you put on your Molly gear, but I had a flashlight, I had a little utility knife, nothing overly tactical where like the safety guy would be like, you can't have that. It's a folding knife, a Leatherman, a flashlight. I really should do a short video on that if I can find it. And a little first aid kit, a poncho, just enough. And if it absolutely went to garbage and I had to run off the work campus, right? Left my truck, left my bag. I just grabbed that little pouch and ran out the door and ran away from the zombies. I at least had enough basic tools that I had something to work with while I was walking around, in the wilderness or whatever. So, oh, that'll be fun. A medium large weight bearing carabiner. Yeah, pointed scissors. Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned the carabiners because on my computer bag, hold on. So this is my computer bag. Let's see if you guys, it won't focus on me. But you notice I keep threaded through. This also gives me an option to, if I find things, useful things, I can clip them in here and take them with me while I'm walking around. So, and I never overpack my bag. I always pack it maybe 50% because you never know, you might have to walk home and that's the only bag I have. And I can add goodies as I go because I keep a little bit of cash with me. If I have to stop at a store and buy some additional items, I have room in my bag for 'em, and it gives me some flexibility to use the bag. So, but yeah, folks, shorty on a bus. I'm built like a gorilla, so I box like I can't even envision that. That's just funny. Yeah. Wait, who's smoking crack now? I totally lost track. We had no electricity. Oh yeah, we had no electricity 3 weeks. Oh, I bet. I bet. And well, yeah, and actually, so I actually have a basket of EDC stuff, right? It's literally like a basket on my shelf here, and it has like different size flashlights, different knives, different other little goodies. So if I'm blue jeans and like a button down shirt, like a fishing shirt, and I'm just going to meet some clients for lunch, have a beer, I can take certain things, but if I'm in a suit, well, that big switchblade, probably not a good idea. But I can bring a smaller knife or a different flashlight that kind of looks, believe it or not, I try to match some of my EDC with my attire so the EDC doesn't stand out. You know what I'm saying? It looks gray against me. So if I'm downtown and everybody's in a suit in a city and my EDC is all colored black, it goes in the pocket of my black slacks. I got my jacket over my tie. You never see that flashlight in my pocket because it's the same color as my suit. I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Uh, but I got long arm dirty bird. Kissing me empty a plan to walk home. That's true. And by the way, I would highly advise if you live in a city and you work downtown or you have a commute, get on Google Maps or Apple Maps and you put the little dude, the walking time, and calculate how long it takes you to go from downtown to your office. I'm sorry, from downtown to your house. Because if I get would have back then when if I'd gotten trapped, say in downtown Houston, right? Something happened, even if the cars work, but there was an incident and they shut down the road, so I'm on foot now. My 45-minute drive would have become a 7-hour walk. And that's assuming one, I can make the most direct route. Two, I don't have to stop to go pee or anything or get dehydrated and have to go stop for water. And three, I don't run into someone or something that makes me deviate my course. That was walking right up the side of the highway and then turning to my house, going into the subdivisions. So think about that. In a city of 45 and Houston of all places, a 45-minute commute was a 6 or 7 hour walk. So again, being able to be healthy, it's being able to do that kind of walk. And if you can't, because you have an injury or some kind of disability, or you just, you're still working on getting in that kind of shape, then you have to factor in you're going to have to stop somewhere, right? You got a bad knee or a bad back, you're going to walk 3 hours, 4 hours, you're going to have to rest, right? Because the pain's going to affect you. And then you start making bad decisions when you're in pain. So you're going to have to rest. So that 6, 7 hour walk is now overnight, right? Because you're going to have to hunker down in the dark and maybe resume the walk in the dark. It's hard to say. If there's no power, do you want to walk in a city in the dark? You'll just get hit by a car, much less mugged. So just things to think about. Yes, and exactly. Plan to stay overnight. Uh, let's see my wife and kids for 2 weeks. Oh no, you were in Manhattan when it happened. Go. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, my son is in Kingwood and works to air traffic. Yes. Okay. So, I live toward Tomball, but one of my client offices where I spent a lot of time was downtown Houston. So yeah, basically, the description Dragon Slayer just gave would have been almost across the city diagonally, and it's the same going from downtown to the northwest side. It's that's a tiny one of my projects. Yeah, now these guys. Are you still in Manhattan? Uh, 40 ISP troopers. You guys have just run off the rails in the chat. But yeah, guys, plan on that kind of stuff. And just pay attention. We're going to keep seeing this weirdness until we get a change in the culture and our leadership where they're held accountable. And unfortunately, it's going to have to get worse before they get better. So, but anyway, folks, I'm running late. I just wanted to come back and finish my live stream because I had some stuff to talk about. Um, a lot of the guys I normally watch tonight are traveling right now, so I didn't get to see everyone. So I figured I'd jump back into the live stream and say hello. But listen, y'all be careful out there. Be safe. Don't stop paying attention to what's going on. And to I can help on Roman can attest. Oh yeah, most definitely. Biggest worst 5 hour layover in Oakland at night. Ugh. Don't leave the bus station. 20 miles away will take you. Yes. And also get fit. Stay as fit as you possibly can. I know everyone's situation's different. Uh, but you want to be sure that you stay as healthy as you can. But in any case, folks, I'm gonna bounce. Don't forget, I think Cold War Prep is doing a book review tonight. He's a great guy, Lee. So be sure to go over there. Tell him I was running late today, and I just jumped over to say hello. And I'm gonna go say hi. Leave him some likes, and don't forget to hit the like for me before you go. 'Cause I do appreciate that. And you guys be careful out there. Be safe, and I will see you guys. I do have Domino Effect Part 2 coming on tomorrow night. It's a premiere. So I will see you guys tomorrow night. You guys be safe out there.